HOA Karen knocked over my daughter's bike, fined $70,000 and apologized. The cul-de-sac was quiet, except for the screech of Karen's voice slicing through the evening air like a knife through butter. "That bike's an eyesore," she bellowed, her words echoing off the manicured lawns. Little did she know, her reign of terror was about to crash harder than the bike she despised. Lila Carter, a single mom with a gentle smile and a steel spine, had moved to Willow Creek 6 months ago, hoping for a fresh start. Her 7-year-old daughter, Sophie, was her world, a bright, curious girl who loved her sparkly purple bike more than anything. Sophie would ride it in loops around the cul-de-sac, her laughter a melody that softened even the grumpiest neighbors. The bike, a gift from Lila's late mother, wasn't just a toy, it was a symbol of resilience, a reminder of love that endured loss. Lila worked double shifts at the diner to make ends meet, and that bike was Sophie's escape, her joy in a world that often felt too heavy. The neighborhood was idyllic, or so it seemed, with its tidy lawns and friendly waves. But Karen Mitchell, the self-appointed queen of Willow Creek, had other ideas. Karen, a 50-something real estate agent with a peroxide blonde bob and a penchant for control, ruled the cul-de-sac like a dictator. Her house, a pristine 2-story with rose bushes trimmed to perfection, was the envy of the block. But her personality, a storm cloud on a sunny day, she'd complain about unmowed lawns, kids playing too loudly, or even mailboxes that weren't up to code. To Karen, Sophie's bike, often parked near the curb while she played, was a personal affront to her vision of suburban perfection. At first, as Lila tried to keep the peace, when Karen left passive-aggressive notes on their doorstep, "Please remove unsightly items from public view," Lila would smile tightly and move the bike to their garage. When Karen cornered her at the mailbox, ranting about property values, Lila nodded politely, her hands clenched. She didn't want trouble. She just wanted Sophie to be happy. But Karen's complaints grew louder, more insistent. She'd stand on her porch, arms crossed, glaring as Sophie pedaled by. Neighbors whispered about Karen's HOA enforcer attitude, but no one dared confront her. She was a force, a whirlwind of entitlement who thrived on making others feel small. One Saturday morning, Lila was at the diner, serving coffee to truckers, when Sophie burst through the door, tears streaming down her face. "Mom, my bike," she sobbed. Lila's heart sank. She rushed home, Sophie clutching her hand, to find the bike a mangled heap of purple metal lying in the street. The frame was bent, the chain snapped, the handlebars twisted like a pretzel. Sophie's treasure, her connection to her grandmother, was destroyed. A neighbor, old Mr. Jenkins, shuffled over, his face grim. "I saw it. Lila." Karen did it, backed her SUV right over it, then laughed and said it was in her way. Lila's blood boiled. She wasn't confrontational by nature, but this was different. This was Sophie's heart, crushed under Karen's tires. She marched to Karen's door, Sophie trailing behind, and knocked hard. Karen answered, her smile as fake as her tan. "Oh, Lila. What's this about?" she asked, as if she hadn't just obliterated a child's prized possession. "You ran over my daughter's bike," Lila said, her voice trembling with rage. "You destroyed it on purpose," Karen scoffed, rolling her eyes. "That thing was a hazard, parked all over the place. I did the neighborhood a favor. Maybe teach your kids some manners." The words hit like a slap. Lila's hands shook, but she held her ground. "You had no right." That bike meant everything to her. Karen smirked, leaning against her doorframe. "Then buy her a new one. Not my problem." She slammed the door, leaving Lila and Sophie in stunned silence. The neighborhood buzzed with whispers. Some, like Mr. Jenkins, were outraged, recounting Karen's history of bullying, how she'd reported a neighbor's dog for barking, or demanded a family remove their basketball hoop. Others stayed silent, too afraid of Karen's wrath. But Lila wasn't done. She couldn't afford a new bike, not on her diner wages, and the thought of Sophie's tear-streaked face fueled her resolve. She started asking questions, digging into Karen's actions. That's when she met Tara, a quiet paralegal who lived across the street. Tara was the twist no one saw coming. A single mom herself, she'd kept a low profile, avoiding Karen's radar, but she'd been watching. "Lila," she said one evening, her voice low. "Karen's been pulling this crap for years. I've got something you need to see." Tara revealed a folder of documents, complaints, violations, and a pattern of Karen's overreach as the unofficial neighborhood watchdog. More importantly, Tara had a security camera that had caught the whole incident, Karen's SUV deliberately swerving to crush Sophie's bike, her laughter clear as she sped off. The footage was damning. Lila's anger crystallized into a plan. She wasn't just fighting for a bike, she was fighting for justice, for every neighbor Karen had intimidated. She contacted a lawyer friend from the diner, who agreed to take the case pro bono. The charge: property damage, emotional distress, and a violation of local ordinances about reckless driving. Lila also learned that Karen's SUV wasn't properly registered, a small but crucial detail. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Elena, saw the bigger picture. "This isn't just about a bike," she said. "It's about accountability." The tension in Willow Creek thickened. Karen, sensing trouble, doubled down. She spread rumors about Lila, calling her a negligent mother who let her kid trash the neighborhood. She even tried to rally the HOA. But Tara's footage was making the rounds, shared on a neighborhood group chat. People were horrified. One neighbor, a retired cop named Dan, admitted he'd seen Karen harass others but never spoke up. "I should have said something sooner," he muttered, guilt in his eyes. The tide was turning. The court date arrived, a sweltering July morning that felt like the air itself was holding its breath. The small courtroom was packed with neighbors, some there to support Lila, others just curious. Karen strode in, her heels clicking, confident she'd talk her way out of it. She wore an expensive blazer, her hair perfectly styled, but her smirk faltered when she saw the crowd. Lila sat with Sophie, who clutched a photo of her bike, her eyes red but determined. Elena presented the case with surgical precision. The security footage played on a screen. Karen's SUV crushing the bike in slow motion, her laughter echoing. Gasps filled the room. Sophie's testimony, though brief, was heart-wrenching. "It was my grandma's gift," she whispered. "Now it's gone." Lila followed, her voice steady as she described the emotional toll, the financial strain, and Karen's relentless bullying. Elena then dropped the bombshell: Karen's unregistered vehicle, combined with her reckless act, violated multiple local laws. The judge, a no-nonsense woman with a reputation for fairness, leaned forward, her eyes narrowing at Karen. Karen's defense was a masterclass in denial. She claimed the bike was abandoned in the street, a safety hazard. She painted herself as a victim, a concerned citizen protecting property values. But the footage was undeniable, and her lies unraveled. Neighbors, emboldened by Lila's courage, testified about Karen's pattern of harassment. Dan spoke up, describing how Karen had threatened to report his grandson's lemonade stand. Tara detailed Karen's attempts to intimidate her into silence. The courtroom buzzed with suppressed outrage. The judge's ruling was swift and brutal. Karen was found liable for property damage and emotional distress. The fine $70,000 covering the bike's replacement, legal fees, and punitive damages for her egregious behavior. But the real blow was the judge's order for a public apology to be delivered at the next neighborhood meeting. Karen's face drained of color. She stammered, tried to argue, but the judge's gavel silenced her. The room erupted in murmurs, a mix of shock and satisfaction. The neighborhood meeting was a spectacle. Karen stood before a crowd of neighbors, her usual swagger gone. Her apology was stilted, her voice barely audible. "I'm sorry for the incident with the bike," she mumbled, avoiding Sophie's eyes. Lila stood tall, her arm around Sophie, who held a new purple bike crowdfunded by neighbors in a show of solidarity. Karen's humiliation was complete when the HOA, spurred by the trial, voted to limit her influence, stripping her of her unofficial enforcer role. Karen's life unraveled. Her real estate business suffered as word of her actions spread. Clients dropped her, unwilling to work with someone who'd bully a child. Her pristine house, once a symbol of her dominance, felt like a cage. She avoided the cul-de-sac, her curtains drawn, her SUV rarely seen. Lila and Sophie, meanwhile, thrived. The new bike wasn't just a replacement, it was a symbol of a community that rallied around them. Neighbors started speaking up, no longer cowed by Karen's tantrums. Willow Creek felt lighter, freer. Lila never wanted revenge, only justice. She taught Sophie that standing up to bullies, even when it's hard, can change everything. The cul-de-sac became a place of laughter again, with kids riding bikes and neighbors chatting over fences. Karen's reign was over, her entitlement shattered by a $74,000 lesson and a child's courage. What do you think? Did Karen get what she deserved? Or was the punishment too harsh? Share your thoughts.